Lina often thought back to those sun-drenched days, where the world seemed to be painted in hues of gold and warmth. She would sit by the window, her mind wandering to places only a child's imagination could reach. The sunlight would dance on her face, casting playful shadows that seemed to tell stories of their own. Days filled with laughter, board games around the oak table, and her parents' gentle, loving presence. The clatter of dice, the shuffle of cards, and the sound of her parents' laughter created a symphony of joy that echoed through the house. Each game was a new adventure, a new memory etched into the fabric of her childhood. Her childhood home, nestled among apple orchards, resonated with warmth. The scent of apples would waft through the open windows, mingling with the aroma of her mother's cooking. The kitchen, with its apple-themed decor, was the heart of the home, a place where stories were shared and love was nurtured. Her dad, a carpenter with calloused hands and a twinkle in his eye, always had a story to tell. His hands, though rough from years of work, were gentle when he held her, and his stories, filled with wonder and wisdom, were a source of endless fascination for Lina. She would sit on his lap, eyes wide with amazement as he spun tales of far-off lands and heroic deeds. Her mum, a librarian with a quick smile and even quicker wit, nurtured Lina's love for books. The library was a magical place, a treasure trove of adventures waiting to be discovered. Her mum's passion for reading was infectious, and Lina would often lose herself in the pages of a book, transported to far-off lands and times. They would spend hours reading together, their heads bent over the same book, sharing whispered secrets and giggles. Life was simple, uncomplicated, a perfect picture Lina held dear. The small moments, the everyday routines, were what made her childhood so special. Whether it was a quiet evening spent together or a spontaneous adventure, each moment was a thread in the tapestry of her family's story. She remembered the impromptu picnics in the orchard, where they would lay on a blanket, eating sandwiches and watching the clouds drift by. Summers were spent baking pies with her mom, the air thick with the scent of cinnamon and love. The kitchen would be a flurry of activity, with flour dusting the countertops and laughter filling the room. Each pie was a labour of love, a delicious testament to the bond between mother and daughter. Lina cherished the moments when her mum would let her roll out the dough, her small hands mimicking her mother's expert movements. Winters brought crackling fires, shared blankets, and her dad's captivating tales spun under the starry sky. The warmth of the fire, the comfort of the blankets, and the magic of her dad's stories made the cold nights feel cosy and safe. Each story was a journey, a shared experience that brought the family closer together. Lina would snuggle between her parents, feeling the steady rhythm of their breathing as they listened to the crackle of the fire and the cadence of her dad's voice. Their love for each other, for her, was a constant, unwavering beacon. It was a love that shone brightly, guiding her through the ups and downs of life. The hugs, the words of encouragement, the shared moments of joy and sorrow, all were expressions of a love that was deep and enduring. She remembered the time she fell off her bike and scraped her knee. Her parents were there in an instant, their comforting words and gentle care making the pain fade away. It was a love that Lina believed could weather any storm, a love she thought would last forever. She carried the lessons of her childhood with her, the memories of those happy days a source of strength and comfort. No matter where life took her, the portrait of her happy family remained a cherished part of her heart, a reminder of the love that had shaped her into who she was. The family vacations, the bedtime stories, the shared meals, all these moments were the building blocks of her identity, the foundation of her unwavering belief in the power of love. As Lina grew older, a subtle shift occurred. It was as if the vibrant colours of her childhood were slowly being drained away, replaced by muted tones of uncertainty and unease. The once lively and carefree atmosphere of her home began to change, and Lina could feel it in the air, like a storm brewing on the horizon. The laughter that used to echo through the house wasn't as frequent anymore. Instead, it was replaced by a strained silence that settled over the dinner table, a silence so thick it was almost suffocating. Conversations became shorter. and the once lively discussions about their day turned into mere exchanges of necessary information. Her dad, once brimming with stories and jokes, now retreated into himself. His eyes, which used to sparkle with joy and mischief, now held a distant sadness, as if he was carrying a burden too heavy to share. Lina missed the way he used to make everyone laugh, the way he used to bring light into their home. Her mum, usually vibrant and quick to smile, seemed burdened. Her laughter, once genuine and infectious, now felt forced and hollow. Lina could see the weight of unspoken worries in her mother's eyes, the way her shoulders slumped under the invisible load she carried. Lina noticed her parents' hushed whispers late at night, the worried glances exchanged when they thought she wasn't looking. The once comforting sounds of their late-night conversations now filled her with a sense of dread, as if they were hiding something terrible from her. Their arguments, once rare and quickly resolved, became more frequent. Lina could hear snippets of their heated discussions through the walls. Words like trust, money and future echoed in her mind. Their voices, once filled with love and understanding, were now laced with an unfamiliar bitterness. The walls of their home, which had always felt like a safe haven, now seemed to close in on Lina, amplifying the tension and discord. The once unbreakable bond that held their family together began to fray at the edges. Lina felt anxious and confused, caught in the crossfire of emotion she didn't fully understand. She remembered specific instances, like the time her dad stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind him, or when her mum locked herself in the bathroom crying softly. The sense of security she had always taken for granted was slipping away, leaving her feeling vulnerable and alone. She couldn't quite place her finger on it, but the warmth, the effortless joy that had defined her childhood, was slowly fading away. The light that once filled their home was dimming, replaced by shadows of doubt and fear. Lina longed for the days when everything felt simple and right, but those days seemed like a distant memory now. The subtle changes in her family dynamics were like tiny cracks in a once perfect facade, growing larger and more visible with each passing day. One sweltering summer afternoon, while searching for her dad's old fishing gear in the attic, Lina stumbled upon a dusty, leather-bound box tucked away in a corner. The attic was a treasure trove of forgotten memories, filled with old furniture draped in white sheets, stacks of yellowing newspapers, and cobwebs that glistened in the dim light filtering through the small window. Lina had always found the attic to be a mysterious place, a silent witness to the passage of time and the secrets it held. As she moved aside a stack of old books, her curiosity was piqued by the sight of the box, its leather surface cracked and worn with age. Curiosity piqued, she lifted the lid, revealing a collection of faded photographs and yellowed letters. Each photograph seemed to tell a story, capturing moments of joy, sorrow, and everything in between. The letters, with their elegant handwriting, hinted at tales of love, loss, and longing. Lina felt a strange connection to these relics of the past, as if they were whispering secrets meant only for her. She wondered about the lives captured in those images, the emotions etched into each letter, and the history that had been hidden away for so long. As she sifted through them, one letter, its edges worn thin, caught her eye. The paper was fragile, almost translucent, and the ink had faded to a soft sepia tone. It was as if the letter had been waiting for her, patiently biding its time until this very moment. Lina's heart raced as she carefully unfolded the delicate paper, her fingers trembling with anticipation. She felt a mix of excitement and dread, sensing that this letter held something significant, something that could change everything. It was addressed to her mother, the handwriting unfamiliar yet strangely familiar. The elegant script seemed to dance across the page, each word imbued with emotion and meaning. Lina's mind raced as she tried to place the handwriting, a nagging feeling of recognition tugging at the edges of her memory. She took a deep breath and began to read, her eyes scanning the lines with growing urgency. The words seemed to leap off the page, each sentence drawing her deeper into a story she had never known. The first few lines tumbled into her heart like icy rain, each word a shard of glass shattering her carefully constructed world. The letter spoke of a love that had been lost, a child given up for adoption, and a secret that had been buried deep within the folds of time. Lina's hands shook as she continued to read, her mind reeling with the implications of what she was discovering. She felt a profound sense of betrayal, as if the very foundation of her life had been built on lies. The letter spoke of a past love, a child given up for adoption, and a secret kept hidden for years. It was a story of heartbreak and sacrifice, of choices made in the face of impossible circumstances. Lina felt a profound sense of loss and betrayal, as if the ground beneath her feet had been ripped away, leaving her to free-fall into an abyss of uncertainty. She could hardly believe what she was reading, her mind struggling to reconcile the loving family she knew with the painful revelations in the letter. A name leaped from the page, a name that sent chills down her spine, her own. The revelation hit her like a tidal wave, crashing over her with relentless force. Lina's mind raced as she tried to process the information, her thoughts a chaotic whirlwind of confusion and disbelief. How could this be? How could her entire life have been built on a foundation of lies? She felt a surge of anger and sadness, emotions swirling within her like a storm. The world tilted on its axis. Everything she had ever known, every memory, every moment, suddenly felt like a fragile illusion, ready to shatter at the slightest touch. Lina's vision blurred as tears welled up in her eyes, her heart aching with a pain she had never known before. She felt as if she was standing on the edge of a precipice, staring into the unknown. The weight of the revelation pressed down on her, making it hard to breathe. The letter fluttered to the floor, each word a deafening roar in the silence of the attic. Lina stood frozen, her mind a whirlwind of emotions. The attic, once a place of mystery and intrigue, now felt like a prison, its walls closing in around her. She knew that her life would never be the same again, that this discovery had irrevocably altered the course of her existence. As the dust settled around her, Lina realized that she was standing at the threshold of a new reality, one that she would have to navigate with courage and resilience. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, knowing that the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges and revelations. The letter trembled in Lina's hand as she confronted her parents. Their faces, etched with shock and a flicker of fear, confirmed her worst fears. The truth, once buried deep, now spilled into the open, raw and undeniable. Her mum, tears streaming down her face, could only manage a whispered, "I'm sorry." Her dad, his usual composure shattered, turned away, unable to meet her gaze. Denials tumbled out, clumsy and unconvincing, each word deepening the wound in Lina's heart. The people she trusted most, the keepers of her history, had built her life on a foundation of lies. The world spun, the familiar scent of her childhood home suddenly suffocating. The very walls seemed to close in, echoing with the weight of their deception. As Lina walked away, she knew she had to rebuild her life piece by piece on her own terms. Gap 2S. Lina's heart, though heavy, carried a newfound determination. She knew that to truly heal, she had to uncover the missing pieces of her past. Armed with the letter and a resolve to find the truth, she embarked on a journey of discovery. Her first step was to trace back to the orphanage mentioned in the letter. The building, aged and worn, stood as a silent witness to countless untold stories. With every step through its halls, Lina felt closer to the truth. The records, painstakingly searched through, finally led her to a name that would change everything, Gap 2S. Meeting her biological family was a whirlwind of emotions. Faces that seemed both familiar and foreign greeted her with a mix of joy and apprehension. Her biological mother, eyes brimming with tears, embraced her as if making up for lost time. There were stories, laughter and tears as they pieced together the years they had missed. Gap 2S. Yet, amidst the reunion, Lina grappled with her identity. Torn between the family she had known and the family she had just found, she felt adrift. It was during a quiet moment by the sea, the waves whispering their timeless secrets, that she found clarity. She realized that her identity wasn't bound by blood alone, but by the love and experiences that had shaped her. Gap 2S. With this newfound understanding, Lina began to rebuild her life. She embraced her past, both the pain and the joy, weaving it into the tapestry of her identity. The journey was far from over, but with each step she grew stronger, more resilient, and more at peace with who she was. Gap 2S. Lina's story, once shadowed by deception, now shone with the light of truth and self-acceptance, and as she looked towards the future, she knew that her journey, though challenging, had made her whole. Gap 2S. Lina's journey was far from over. The revelation of her true origins was just the beginning of her path to healing. She knew that to move forward she had to mend the fractured relationships with her adoptive parents. Visiting their home, the air was thick with unspoken words and lingering tension. But Lina was determined to bridge the gap. Gap 2S. Sitting together at the kitchen table, they began to talk. Really talk. Her adoptive parents, eyes filled with regret and sorrow, listened as Lina poured out her heart. She spoke of her pain, her confusion, and her journey to the truth. In turn, they shared their fears, their reasons, and their love. The conversation was raw and painful, but it was also a cathartic release for all of them. Gap 2S. Slowly, they began to rebuild their relationship, brick by brick. Trust, once shattered, was painstakingly restored. They found new ways to connect, to support each other, and to heal the wounds of the past. Family dinners became moments of bonding, shared stories, and newfound understanding. Gap 2S. Through this process, Lina also discovered a deeper sense of peace within herself. She realized that forgiveness wasn't just about healing the past, but also about freeing herself from its chains. She allowed herself to feel the love and support of both her biological and adoptive families, creating a unique and beautiful tapestry of relationships. Gap 2S. With each passing day, Lina's heart grew lighter. She embraced her dual heritage, finding strength in her diverse roots. Her journey had taught her that family isn't defined by blood alone, but by the bonds of love, trust, and shared experiences. Gap 2S. As she looked toward the horizon, Lina felt a profound sense of peace and understanding. She knew that her journey, though filled with challenges, had also brought her the greatest gift of all, a true sense of self and a family that spanned both her past and her future.